So I was able to get the Nintendo Switch on launch day, and let me tell you how that went. First, the Nintendo Switch was announced back in like September of 2016, and then they had the Nintendo Switch Direct in January of 2017. And I actually watched the Nintendo Switch Direct live as it was going on, and I believe right after the Direct they announced pre-orders start tomorrow. Like legit the day after the live stream, Switch pre-orders were up. So I stopped by my local EB Games on my way to college, and I was greeted by a hearty
"Welcome to EB Games."
And I asked, "Do you have any Switch pre-orders left?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So I pre-ordered the Switch, went on March 3rd on launch day, got it, went home, played Breath of the Wild. That's how it went. It was super smooth, super easy. Yeah, here's my Switch. It's a day one Switch. Don't be fooled by the the white D-brand skin that it has on it. Don't let your eyes deceive you. This is not an OLED. So that was it. That's how I got the Switch. Very easy, no hassle at all. Now let's talk about the Switch 2. Alright, so here's the Switch 2. I did manage to get it, but it was not at all as smooth as the Switch 1. Let's put it that way. So Nintendo announced the Switch 2 in January of 2025. This was after they got really tired of people leaking it. So after the Switch 2 got announced, I called EB Games because I'm like, okay, may as well check, right? And they're like, yeah, no, pre-orders aren't available yet. We need to have a release date, we need to have a price, and then pre-orders will be available. Okay, fair enough. Same as the original Switch, right? So the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was in April of 2025. Pretty long wait. So when we actually got to watch it, they never announced like a price or anything. I called up EB Games again, the same one, and asked if they had pre-orders available, and they were like, yeah, not yet. And this is where it kind of got messy. Once they finally announced pre-orders, it was on April 9th, and I was completely ready to just go out and pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2 on April 9th. The day before the pre-orders were supposed to go live, they delayed Switch 2 pre-orders in Canada because of the US tariffs, because Nintendo wasn't sure if they would have to like change the price or whatever, and I heard something about Canadian shipments being tied to US shipments and stuff, I don't know. Anyway, so they were delayed, we didn't know the new date or anything like that. Eventually we found out April 24th, that's when the new pre-orders would start. So after the delay and a bunch of doom posting and all that, April 24th came about. I woke up in the morning. For some reason, I thought all pre-orders were starting at 12 p.m. because that's when GameStop was starting. It turns out every place started immediately. Like at probably like 9 a.m. or midnight or whatever, I had no idea. So most places were already sold out. Best Buy still had a queue that didn't lead to anything. Most websites like Staples, Walmart, all that, they would have stock, but then you would try to add it to the cart or check out, and then it would just like have an infinite loading symbol. And then when the GameStop or EB Games pre-order started, the site just completely went down. You couldn't get in, and I'm just like, okay, fine. Gonna have to go into the store. So I did call up the store later. I was like, hey, do you have any Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders left? They're like, yes, but we only have the Mario Kart bundle. For some reason, every place was just sold out of having the console itself. But I didn't mind. Like, I was going to buy Mario Kart World on its own until I found out that it was $110 in Canada. Whereas if you get it in the bundle, it's only $70 Canadian, which is actually quite a discount. That's $40. I'm big on physical media, but man, like I'm now paying almost double the price. Now the funny thing is, Nintendo themselves actually had like a mailing list, so you can register your interest in the Nintendo Switch 2, and they would send you an email when it's time to actually buy it. Like they would give you an invite to buy it. The requirements for that were like, you have to have a Nintendo account, you have to have like 40 hours of playtime on that account, you had to have 12 months of paid Nintendo Switch Online membership before they announced the registration thing. It was wild, but I mean, I met all the requirements, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just register for that. And then I'm like basically guaranteed a Nintendo Switch 2 because I'm registering it for on the day that they announced it, and I meet all the requirements, so why wouldn't I get that? I still went to EB Games later in the day, thank goodness I did that. There was quite a lineup, and the phone was ringing off the hook. It was like mayhem there. Everyone's just asking, hey, do you have pre-orders left? The staff were so dead. Compared to when I got the Switch 1, the place was empty. The main rant is, man, buying stuff online that's in demand is damn near impossible. You are up against thousands of bots. It's not even an issue of like stuff being sold out. The website just crashes because there's just so much traffic. If it weren't for the fact that I could just go into a store and pre-order one, I would not have one right now. And it's crazy that this is still an issue, considering we've had like online e-commerce for like however many years. Not a single store worked. I could add a Switch 2 to the cart and I couldn't check out. 8 years ago, when the Switch came out, there were a lot more stores where you can actually buy video games. A lot of retail stores, there used to be like half a dozen EB games within driving distance. This time there's only one, so everybody had to go to that one store to pre-order. And that's kind of like my main rant. The moment that physical retail dies, it's gonna be impossible to get anything. Anything that's in demand. By the way, I never got that email from Nintendo. I've been checking my email every day. They have not sent me an invite to buy the Switch 2. And I kind of feel insulted. I feel like my gamer license has been rejected. That's kind of the end of my rant there. So just to like compare the boxes here. The first thing I noticed was, man, like the Switch 2, the box is way smaller than the Switch 1. It's a tiny bit taller, but it's like half the size. I heard there was an issue of like people having their screens punctured because store associates would staple their receipts onto the box. And apparently the screen of the Switch 2 is just like facing the outside here or something. So that was something I had to worry about all day. Let me just take a look at the box here. Oh, it's mainly the same thing. I noticed that with like the advertising for the Switch 2 compared to the Switch 1. The Switch 1, they really leaned heavily into advertising the whole like play anywhere aspect. But for the Switch 2, they leaned more into like, oh, this is a real gamer's console. Because like everyone's had a Switch for the last 8 years. Yeah, here's the setup instructions. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Oh yeah, this almost fell out of the box when I opened it. But here is the Switch 2. So basically, stores would staple a receipt onto the box here and it would puncture the screen. This is big. So there's the front, there's the side. I don't know how I feel about these like prongs that it has. Oh, I had it upside down. There's the back. This thing is massive compared to the original Switch. I'll do a size comparison in a second. Here's the kickstand. The micro SD card is very easily accessible. You got the speakers here. The USB-C port for the dock. Kickstand goes back that far. It's a much nicer kickstand than the original Switch has. There's the outtake fan. Oh wait, are these intake fans or speakers? These might be intake fans, which makes a lot more sense because the original Switch has it on the back. Let me actually like show you right now. So like the original Switch would have the intake fans on the back, and here's the kickstand, which doesn't really work for anything, if I'm being completely honest. Power, button, volume. That's the microphone. This thing here. And then this is for games. It's a very interesting design that has. Headphone jack. Another USB-C port. And I think that's about it. Put that to the side there. Alright, here's the left Joy-Con. This is much bigger. I'm noticing right away. It's made for adult hands. I'm not sure if the joysticks feel better. They kind of feel the same, if I'm being completely honest. Here's the buttons here. They're a bit less clicky. I think they're better than the original Joy-Cons. But overall, this feels more comfortable. You can actually use these triggers now. This feels like it's more comfortable to play sideways than the original one was. And it doubles as a mouse. This is the IR sensor or whatever. It also has like 2 buttons. I'm not too sure what these are for. 3 buttons. Is that a button? I don't think it's a button. I think this is just the sync button. I don't think this is actually a button. Doesn't feel like it presses in at all. Alright, so that's the left Joy-Con. Here's the right Joy-Con. It has their amazing C button that they spend half the direct on. That's for activating voice chat. You got the home button, face buttons. This feels really nice, actually. This is properly sized. Yeah, same thing. Not too different. You got the lock button here. 2 triggers, it's still a digital trigger, rather than an analog controller trigger. So now for the assembly. So this goes in. Ooh, and that's not coming out. This actually has no flex, or barely any, as far as I can see. Here's the left, if you can focus. Right, here's the left one. This feels nice. Let's do like a quick size comparison. The Switch 2 could eat the Switch 1. This thing is massive comparatively. The big thing for me is compare the bezels. Like the bezels on the original Switch are so thick. It's super noticeable. On this guy, you can see it like comes out to here, comes out to like here. It's pretty close to the edges. Yeah, here's the backside. Again, mine is covered by a skin, so you can't really compare it too well. But this thing feels tiny. Imagine how Switch Lite compares to it. But yeah, this is pretty big, and it feels nice. This feels like a premium device. I know a lot of people have said that, and I'm just a sheep, but let's continue. Let's see if they actually have an instruction manual. I think they do. Probably a very brief one. The download code for Mario Kart. I really wish I had a physical game, but it is what it is. Health and safety info. A high-speed, ultra-certified cable. Interesting. Oh, nice. So these are the straps, and they look like they're a lot nicer than the original Switch ones. It also adds a bit of like a mouse feet to it, so that when you're using the controller as a mouse, it slides better. So to remove this controller, you hold this down, and then it just pops right off. Oh, I see. So it's not a button, this thing here. I was trying to press it. It just pops out when you press the release. So to put the strap on the controller. Okay, so you have to put this in first. Tap. Nice. That's a lot easier. And then to pop it off, just that, and it's off. I might actually use these a lot more because it's a lot easier to attach and detach than the original Switch. With the original Switch, you have to like slide it on, and it's just a pain. I know that just makes me sound lazy, but it really is a pain. I like that. I was iffy on the whole like snap into place thing, but it's grown on me already. That is the Switch 2 Joy-Con grip. Detach these again. That's quite nice. Alright, here we have the AC adapter. It just has a USB-C port, And that's about it. And then here we have the USB-C cable. Yep. I mean, not much to say about that. It's just a USB-C cable. I know with the original Switch you needed like a very specific type of USB-C, or it could like brick your system or something like that. I don't know if that was just a rumor on Reddit or something, but I never really took chances with that then. And the last thing is the actual Switch 2 dock. Now this is quite an improvement from the original dock because this actually has a cooling fan in it. Yeah, this actually feels like quite a bit of an upgrade. The other one just felt like a cheap piece of plastic. This feels like a real... Okay, that just falls off, I guess. So this actually has a cooling fan in it, so it can cool the Switch a lot better in TV mode. Thankfully, it actually has a LAN port, and I don't have to use a USB adapter for LAN. And you just got HDMI out and an AC adapter. I don't know if it has... Okay, it has USB ports over here. And that's about it. I'll start it up just to see if it has any dead pixels or anything, hopefully. Even the guy at EB Games was trying to sell me the warranty. He's like, you know, it's like the first run of consoles. There's gonna be a lot of defects. Maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones. Would you like to buy a 2-year warranty for $80? And I'm like, I think I'm okay. I don't think it's never happened to me, so hit the power button. Alright, where's English Canada? Let me turn that volume down a bit. I don't think you can hear it anyway. Don't worry, I already read it. Connect to the internet. Day 1 update. I have to pick my time zone. Usually New York. Eastern Standard Time. Ooh, they actually included Montreal and Toronto. That's inclusive. With the Nintendo Switch 2, you can play games wherever you want, however you want. The system can stand at whatever angle you like. Just pull out the rear stand. Oh, Nintendo, you're not going to charge me for this tutorial? Attach the Joy-Cons, we've already done that. Does it want me to? Okay. It wants me to do that right now. So it wants me to detach it and then continue. Connect to a TV later. Understood. Alright, now it's just downloading the update. So, no dead pixels, as far as I can see. Everything seems to be good. The cashier at EB Games is punching air right now because my system's actually fine, and he didn't sell me a warranty. Now, people were complaining that the Switch 2 doesn't have an OLED screen. I'll be honest, man. They waited so long to release like an update for the Switch, and the one thing they updated was the thing they didn't need to update, which was the screen. I feel like the Switch screen, the original, is just like really good. It's really good. And that's the only thing they updated with the Switch OLED. And people are already complaining that this is too expensive. And I'm like, you really want an OLED screen on top of that? Alright, system update complete. Start system transfer. I mean, I guess I should, right? So the Switch 2 can only use microSD express cards, which is pretty new, and I've never actually seen it before. So I actually don't have anything like that. Sign into Nintendo account. Guess I'll do that quick. Can sign in with the QR code. Damn, Nintendo, when did you get so fancy? And I am signed in. Move the systems together. How much charge does this even have? It doesn't tell me how much battery it has. Connect an AC adapter to start downloading data. I want to skip this, but I feel like you have to do this first, or else it's not going to work later. And this is not a very long cable. Okay, so I have the Switch 2 connected to an AC adapter. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I don't have an outlet close enough, so it's just gonna have to be on the side while I do this. So it's saying go to settings, update dock. You can do that? System transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. I like how it gave the option, I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2 yet. Save data for the following software will be removed from this system and transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, sounds good. Oh, it wants an AC adapter for this one too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jump cut. All right. That took a while. I actually had to... The original Nintendo Switch also required to be plugged in, and it wasn't accepting just my power delivery USB-C cable that I used to charge my phone. So I had to go back into the basement and dig out the AC adapter for that Switch, bring it back up, plug it in, and then it started the transfer, or else it actually wouldn't recognize it. So that's all done. So I'm just gonna hit home. It's playing music. I don't know if you can. Wow. It looks exactly the same. And it looks like it's just re-downloading games or save data or updates, news, game chat. So one thing I want to check immediately is the eShop. The eShop was really just a point of controversy for the original Switch because it's very laggy, very slow, it's not organized well, it has a bunch of garbage on it, AI slop, hentai games and all that. Okay, so it has stuff on my wish list that's on sale. I haven't updated this wish list in years. It still has Samurai Showdown on it, and it's still $60 for some reason. I don't know if this is in order. There's so many games on here that I have no interest in playing. For You recommendations. On the For You page, you'll find recommendations for games we think you'll like based on what's popular and trending, what your friends are playing, and what you've looked at on the eShop. Funny how they don't say based on what you've played previously. Okay, it really wants me to play Fate Extella, which is like a launch title for the Switch. Naruto Ninja Storm. Wizard of Legend. Guys, I don't think these recommendations work. Valhalla, I mean, I might play that. Dragon Marked for Death. Fire Emblem Warriors, definitely not gonna play that. That's all the recommendations, huh? Interesting. I mean, it seems a lot faster, which is a good news for us. So it looks like for the eShop, a big thing that they're doing is putting this like header on top if it is a Switch 2 game, which I guess makes it a lot clearer on what's actually enhanced. I guess Sonic and Shadow Generations is enhanced. Yeah, now here's the eShop staple. AI art slide puzzle games. That's what I like to see. Okay, but that's basically the Switch 2. We got game chat, which, I mean, I can't really do anything with it yet. because I don't have any friends. Scroll through that. Basically, don't say swears. You have to confirm your phone number. You know what, I'll do this later. Virtual game cards. Yeah, that's basically the Switch 2. I just have to download Mario Kart World, and then that'll probably be the next live stream. It's crazy that the only difference between the two editions, between the bundle and the console version, is just this one little card that's in it. That's it. This little piece of paper is the only difference between the two editions. I'm gonna take care of downloading that, get that started. Next live stream I do should be Mario Kart World. I got a 4K 60 capture card. and I'm hoping that that works properly. Final thoughts, I think this is quite a bit of an upgrade. This is basically a Switch Pro. Feels nice and solid in the hands. Feels like it's made for adult hands. Still works with a bunch of Nintendo Switch accessories. The Pro controller still works with it, as far as I know. So in conclusion, yeah, it's a Switch 2.